Hello and welcome. You are listening to the At Home with Ifeno podcast. This podcast is for anyone, male and female, who believes that the home is the cornerstone and foundation of a flourishing society and a better world. Here, we'll guide you through the intricate journey of building a home that's not just a physical space. Whether you are single, preparing to share your life with another, a couple cultivating a shared dream, or parents tending to the garden of their children's hearts. Every other week, we'll talk about topics like practical tips on managing family finances, creating a beautiful home, conversations on courtship, marriage, parenting, and much more. The At Home with Ifeno podcast offers a rich tapestry of inspiration and support. Join us as we explore creating homes where love resides, families thrive in wisdom, and the seeds of a brighter future are sown, just as God intended. I am your host, Ifoma Nneka Omoniyi. Hello, and welcome to At Home with Ifeno. How are you today? I'm so excited. I have a special guest today, my very first guest for 2025. Wow. I've been looking forward to having her on the At Home with Ifeno podcast, and I'm delighted to have her. Don't worry, I will introduce her very soon. But before she comes up, I just want to find out how you're doing. And I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are connecting with us globally. It's a great day. And it's also the very first episode for February. February is a special month globally. You know, today happens to be Valentine's Day. Wow. So what are we planning for today? And I'm asking the couples, the married couples, even though I know that, yes, those that are not married, they have their way of celebrating Valentine. But don't worry, as we enter into the conversation, we will get more information on what we should do during Valentine, particularly for those of us that are married. And for those that are not married, we are not saying you cannot celebrate love, you cannot celebrate friendship. But on At Home with Ifeno, everything we do here is through the lens of God's word and God, because He is the originator of this platform. So I just want you to get your sweet spot, that place where you will not be distracted, your water, tea, or coffee. If you are driving, please concentrate with your hands free and give us your listening attention. So on today's show, I would like you to give a warm At Home with Ifeno welcome to our guest. And her name is Mrs. Stacy Ozigi. Please give her a warm At Home with Ifeno welcome. You're welcome, ma. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you. Hello, viewers. I'm glad and excited to be here. Thank you for the privilege and opportunity to share. I'm grateful to be part of this program.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. So I would like us to just go straight into today's conversation. Today happens to be Valentine's Day, Mrs. Ozigi, and people have different, views of what Valentine is. Some people say it's a day of love, romance, affection. It's a time for couples to express, their love and intimacy. But there is one thing that is attached to this Valentine's celebration, which is love. So I want you to share with my listeners, what do you see is love? What is love, ma?
Love is a commitment to hold, care, and be part of somebody regardless of whether they are perfect or not. Because even us, we are not perfect. Love is an emotion that is encompassed in caring, holding, seeking the best for the other person, for an imperfect person that you wish to share yourself with, realizing that you yourself are not perfect.
Wow. So
Yes.
love is an expression of care to another person that you already know that this person has his or her own downsides, those areas where they need to keep working at. So despite knowing that and remembering that we ourselves also have our own weaknesses, you still go out of your way to see how you can selflessly, make that sacrifice, make that commitment, and express, that form of love to that person. Wow. So there is no sense of, yourself being the center of attraction, or yourself being that I'm doing this because of what I'm going to gain necessarily. That is what I get from what Mrs. Ozigi is saying. Thank you very
Yes.
much for that definition of love, because like I said, today being Valentine's Day, it's a day where people are going to have different expression of how they see love. Now, our topic for today is sex before marriage is sweet, but ... Sex before marriage is sweet, but there are things that come with it that might not be pleasant. And today's topic is focused on the singles, the young ones that are not yet married. So we live in a sexualized world, if I'm correct. We are living in a world where people have taken sexuality to different heights and have emphasized it, and even come to the point of commodified it. Yes, and this has been seen through the media, advertising, and people's attitude of feeling that there should be this sexual freedom and expression, objectifying sex, and even bringing about exploitation to one another. What will you say sex is, and what is God's perspective about sex?
Well, sex is a very interesting topic that we rarely talk about. So I'm actually glad that Martin Fenno is taking this discussion. It's also a topic that many people are shy to talk about. But I would say that sex was created by God, and it is physical intercourse between a man and a woman that is created or use within the confines of marriage. Sex created by God is physical intercourse between a man and a woman, female and male. I need to be exact in regards to that. And this act of intercourse is reserved within the confines of marriage. That's what sex is.
So Mrs. Ozigi is saying that if we are going to enjoy sex the way God has created it to be, there are boundaries. There are boundaries. It's not something that we are going to explore anyhow we like it or about our feelings, because God has a pattern, God has a plan, and He knows why He gave us sex as a gift. But one thing she said that I don't want us to forget, that sex is to be within the confines of marriage. So for our young ones listening today, if you know you are not married properly with your parental consent and doing it the right way, know that sex is not something you should try to explore. Thank you so much, Ma, for that explanation of what sex is and God's perspective about it. So what are your thoughts on waiting for sex until marriage? Because our topic said sex before marriage is sweet, but the but there connotes that there could be negative things if sex comes before marriage. What are your thoughts on waiting for sex until after marriage?
My thoughts on waiting for sex outside before marriage is actually in accordance with scripture. I think sex comes from God and it's something to be enjoyed, and He outlines in His word how He expects it to be done. And so it's important for us to have that our understanding. Many times in life, it's not just about sex. If you are given something or you find yourself in a position where you are supposed to do something and you do not do it the right way, it is termed as abnormal use. So sex outside of marriage, sex before marriage would be termed as abnormal use of sex. Because sex is not just sex. I say, oh, it's just sex, it's physical contact. No. Sex should not be done outside of marriage. And that's because since it was created for inside marriage, doing it outside marriage is like stealing what does not belong to you.
Wow.
And it seems as if stolen things are good, but the guilt of it lies with you. And when you steal, there are consequences. So when you don't use things properly, but the way they're supposed to be used, there's always a consequence to it. So as far as sex goes outside marriage, you do need to wait before you have sex, because sex is not just sex. It's more than physical contact between a man and a woman. In fact, sex is a spiritual thing more than physical. And if I'm going to look at it, because we are putting this based on the word of God, I will say according to 1 Corinthians 6:16, there is more to sex than mere skin to skin or physical contact. In that verse, in the Message translation, it says sex is as much a spiritual mystery as a physical fact. And the scripture says, two shall become one. It is a meeting of flesh to flesh. And it doesn't only tie your physical body, it ties you emotionally. So there's a form of soul tie. It ties you spiritually, because there's more to it than just let's touch skin to skin and then it is over. You always leave a part of yourself with the person that you have sexual intercourse with. That's the truth about sex. So you don't want to do it with everybody or test it or do it before marriage, but within the confines where there is structure, there is safety, and there is security. That is where you have sex.
Wow. Sex is more spiritual than just even the physical body coming together. A lot of depth in there. Thank you so much, Ma. So how can sex before marriage affect the overall dynamics of a relationship? Like now, two singles, a female and a male single, they are planning to get married, and they might be listening, they might come across this particular episode, today being Valentine's Day. And what will you tell them that having sex before marriage can affect their overall relationship? What are the negatives that are likely going to happen if they go ahead and go out of the boundaries of sex as God has planned?
Okay. First of all, having sex outside marriage, even for a couple that wants to get married, it shows that they are not exercising self-control. And the problem that many people feel is that, oh, we're about to get married. It doesn't matter as long as it is outside marriage, until you actually go and say, I do. Sign the dotted lines, say it before God and man that you are married and it is clear. Then there should be no joining of flesh. If you do it before that, you have still abused the process of sex. What I would say to you is that the fact that you do sex before marriage automatically breaches an issue of trust. You will find that many times when things go wrong within marriage, people say that, oh, at least we had sex before. How am I sure you've not done this before, or you won't do it again if you agreed for me before? Do you understand? And that doesn't just come like a guy thinking that of a lady, but also of a lady thinking that of a guy. It shows that you create a level of distrust that you do not trust the other person because both of you were unable to exercise self-control. So first, one of the things that having sex before marriage causes is distrust. The second thing that it causes many times in marriage, adultery, 90% of the time, based on statistics, comes from an environment of fornication. That means that sex being held outside the confines of marriage. People think that it's okay for people that are married never to have sex not to have sex outside marriage. But many times, people think that fornication is okay, that singles can go ahead and have sex. That's not true. If you cannot exercise self-control outside the marriage, you won't exercise it inside marriage too. Many marriages that suffer from adultery result from having fornication outside marriage. Both are the same thing. And what temptation or what impact that, or the self-control you refuse to exercise outside marriage doesn't mean that when I get married, then self-control has come. No. It will not come. Adultery can also many times does result from having fornication. That's outside marriage. Both are the works of the flesh. But the reason why they say don't engage in it as a single is so that you can preserve your marriage. So that is the second loophole that can come from that. It is a major thing. The third is that, see, when you have slept with somebody else, like I said, there are soul ties, there are emotional attachments, there is physical attachment, there's spiritual attachment. Then you now come into a marriage, you bring the problems, the issues, the concerns of that physical, emotional, spiritual content into your marriage, both the good, bad, and the ugly. So it makes it very difficult for you to have a deeper connection with the person that you really are in marriage with. And that is a big problem for many marriages because they have already identified with people outside their marriages, exercising the act of one flesh instead of coming to exercise it within the marriage. That is a big problem that many marriages are facing. And that's why sometimes you see people, they say, oh, we don't have a deep connection. If it was with my ex, even though we were not married, we had a deep connection. The reason is because you connected on the wrong level with your ex, and now you brought that into the marriage, making it difficult for you to connect at the right point with your current person that you are living, loving, and married to.
Wow. This is really serious. Distrust, a display of lack of self-control, and then issues from your past relationship, even to the one that maybe you eventually get married, when you have, had sex with other partners, could hinder intimacy, deep intimacy with your spouse. So in summary, what I'm hearing Mrs. Ozigi is telling us today is that the way you lay your bed, even as a single, is going to determine how you are going to lie on it, when you get married. So it is beyond butterflies in our belly, the emotions and everything that we are feeling. Marriage is a very serious decision, and the way we prepare for it, is going to also determine how successful and how we are going to enjoy that journey of marriage. Wow. Thank you so much, Ma. So we've talked about the potential downsides of how do you think sex before marriage? Okay, we've talked about trust and vulnerability. So what do you think about open communication about this sex that we're talking about? So there are many people, the singles, that well, like you said, sex is something that we just push away, even though we desire it, we want it, whether we are married or whether we are not married. But what will you tell the single ones, about open communication concerning this subject of marriage, and how can it contribute to a healthy marriage? How do you bring our singles to understand being open and say, okay, we are engaged, or this is where our relationship is leading us to. This and this and this are the things we are going to do so that we don't go out of the boundaries until we get married. How do you
Okay.
encourage them to have that open communication concerning sex?
Okay. I think it's important when you get into a relationship that you put in boundaries. But first of all, I want to talk about the environment in which we live in. Like one of the things that you are doing right now is fantastic. Coming to the fore and to public forum to talk about sex, something that needs to be talked about, shared about, the truth of which needs to be put out there for people to hear about and learn from. When you are not ignorant, when information exists and you are ignorant of it, you are likely to abuse the process. That's what is happening to many of our single people. So in places like churches, in places like youth environments, in places like schools, we need to talk about sex the right way so that people will have an understanding. In the world we live today, I remember when I was serving, which is many, many years ago, I remember that, I don't know, a company came to our youth service grounds, where at the parade ground, like a boot camp for many people that don't know what youth service is in Nigeria, a boot camp where you share, and they were distributing condoms. That is not talking about sex. What they needed to tell us was that we should exercise abstinence in order for us to live a good life. Instead, they were distributing condoms that, okay, have sex, it doesn't matter, just use a condom. That's selling a wrong message already. So I think, first of all, is our environment. In answer to the questions, as a government, as a people, as institutions of learning, as churches, different environments, non-governmental institutions, any opportunity to pass out, abstinence is key in order for you to focus, in order for you to achieve as an individual. Abstinence is key. Scientifically and statistically, it has known that people that do not focus on sex, young virile men that spend time focusing on achieving a goal, have 90% chance of reaching that goal if they are not given to having sex.
Wow.
That's one. So, given a single a chance to have a goal, succeed first of all, that's what they should first seek for in their life, because a successful person automatically attracts another successful person. They are purposeful and can put their lives together, and it's not just about sex. Then they can have good sex because they have good knowledge about what sex is. Because, like I said, sex is more than physical, it's also spiritual and emotional. That's one. Gathering information, the right information about sex is key. So there must be an environment that provides it. I want to encourage every area, wherever of influence that we have, that one should use it to promote. And the right kind of sex, abstinence, what sex really is, and how to go about it. Like, it shouldn't be a taboo that we do not talk about. It should be a subject that must be discussed, and how it must be done in order to enhance our lives. As parents, I'm a grown parent with 2 young adults and 1 youth that is about to cross over to be a young adult. Sex is something that you should discuss with your children. Sex is something that we talk about. I have kids that are in relationships. I tell them, you can't do this. These are the downsides of it. Apart from this is what the word of God says. This is how it impacts you emotionally and physically as a person. So sex is something to be communicated about. For a couple that is in a relationship, a single guy and girl, the first thing, find out about yourselves as persons before it is about physical contact. What about your character, your person? And then let's talk about sex. What does sex mean to you? Find out about from your partner. When do you think sex should be dealt with? Why do you think we need to do it? Why should we not do it now? Why should we do it now? Why do you think doing it at marriage is the right thing? When you talk about such, it displays the secrets, it displaces the fantasy. It displaces the I don't know. It just takes away the secret thing. Don't talk about it. Let's just do it. Let's try it out. No, it just takes it away. Immediately you bring something out in the open, it just takes. I'm serious. It just takes it away. Oh, okay. And then when you have this, do you know I'm physically attracted to you? But I do not think that kissing is something that we should do now because it will lead to something else. I would like to hold you, but I think it's better we go and take a walk so that I do not put my arms around you. Why don't we go and sit in a restaurant? It will be difficult for you to grope your partner when you are outside. Do you understand? And there are days that you know that, oh, I'm feeling a bit somehow. I'm not sure I'll be able to cope. That's not the day you tell the person, come and visit me in my house. Say, please stay at home. Let's talk over the phone. You know, those are different things that one can do to stem such physical attraction or going overboard. But I think even just talking about it, what is sex? When should it be done? Do you understand? What do you think is good sex? All those kind of things, it helps. But that is when you are in a relationship that is leading to marriage. Instead, a relationship would be about finding out about each other, sharing your goals, your purposes, where you want to get to in life, how you wish to attach it, attract those successes to your life and achieve your purpose. You know, many people in relationships, they can't even communicate. All they do is just sex. If that is what you term as a relationship, then that's not a relationship. There's no difference between sleeping with a prostitute, because people that go out to sleep with prostitutes don't talk. They just get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's just have sex. That's it. The person that you are in a relationship with, can you have a conversation with them? Can you talk about goals, future, affairs, what's going on in life, what they would like to achieve, where they're likely to go, where they see themselves being in many years to come? If it is just about sex, then that's not a real relationship. And that's why many people are having difficulty managing sex. And also, if you talk about sex in that relationship, then you will most likely take away the secrecy, the fantasy, or the feeling of, oh, something secret that we have to do, or stolen waters. Just talk about it, it will dissipate.
And douse the tension.
My dear, it will douse the great tension. Yeah. So I think talking and communicating about sex, what it is, where it needs to be done, when it needs to be done, the way you feel about it, first of all, when displaces the secrecy and the tension behind sex.
Wow. So much has been said, and I'm hoping that particularly our young ones, that they will not allow the emotional rush for Valentine's Day to overwhelm them, but they will act wisely. You know, Mrs. Ozigi said a lot in this last time she just spoke. She talked about discovering yourselves personally. Who are you? What is your life about? Those are the things that singles should spend time talking about. Where are you going in life? You know, seeing how you can work together as a team if that relationship is leading to marriage, to a committed, you know, selfless relationship where you are coming together, you know, to see how you can contribute to each other's life to make yourselves better. And sex is not supposed to be everything about a relationship. She said that if you're meeting anybody is just about sex, then take note that there's nothing different between you and a whore, a prostitute. That's really, really something to think about. Thank you so much, Ma, for sharing your words of wisdom. And like she said, she has two young adults. So she's not speaking just, you know, from a book that she read. She is a mother of already grown adults that very soon, you know, that relationship that her children have would lead to marriage. And she's telling us what she has been doing with them back at home. Mrs. Ozigi has also encouraged parents, you know, to talk to their children about what marriage is, what love is, what sex is. Let's not be shy to open up with our children. If our children can't get the right information from us parents, then they will go out and be deceived by so much that the world is pushing out that is destroying a lot of lives today. Thank you so much, Ma. This is the time where we want you to connect personally with our listeners. Beyond our episode today, how can our listeners reach out to you through your social media handles and tell us more about who you are and what you do? So the floor is for you now, Ma. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm a chartered accountant, an accountant by training.
Okay.
So I know quite a lot about figures and finance, but more so, I am also a marriage counselor. I've been trained. You can never be fully trained for counseling. You're always engaged in training. I have been professionally trained, my husband and I, and we serve as marriage counselors in the Lighthouse Church International, Ministries International. That being said, continuous training is always needed. I'm one that is open to learning. So I keep doing the training. I don't think like 1-2 training is enough. No, I go ahead and keep training because I'm pro-family, and the more you know about it, the more you can impact and influence the life of the people that are around you. And that's one of the things that is most important to me. I can be reached through emails. I am on Instagram, and I am on Instagram. My name there is Adeolu Ozigi. Stacy Ozigi, Adeolu Ozigi. Look for me. I'm there. There's no. Yes, and my Instagram picture is my husband. So most likely when people see, they always wonder, who is this Stacy with a guy's face? But yeah, I kind of keep him there to remind me that this is my guy. You know, there's a picture of him and I love it. So yes. The other thing is you can also reach me by email on Gmail, stacy.ozigi@gmail.com. If you wish to talk to somebody, to share and need some advice about growth, future, anything pro-family, I am available. I am really pro the God kind of family. I believe that the success of the world, the success of society lies on the cradle of family. So if you are able to get family right, the next generation has everything covered. If you are able to teach your children well, influence the youth of today, there's no way that they will not get it right. So I'm totally pro-family. Like I said, I have a few kids, 3 kids. Those are the ones that I gave back to biologically. But because I serve in the youth church, the teenage arm of the Lighthouse Ministry, I also have many kids that are attached to me that I didn't give back to, but that I influence a lot. I'm part of their lives and their growth process. That's key to me. And that's what I do, actually. Even though I work professionally also as an accountant. So that's me in a nutshell. I forgot to say, I have several businesses that I run. I have an apartment. I like catering to people. That means service. Apart from just liking pro-family, I like things to do with hotel management, welcoming people to lunch, breakfast, giving them nice things to eat, all those kind of things. They interest me. Barbecuing and just making people feel good. Yes, I'm all about fun events and providing home and comfort services to people. So yes, that's me in a nutshell.
So my listeners, do you not know why Mrs. Ozigi is my friend? Because we have a lot in common. I know I'm not an accountant, so that's one. I can't say anything about that. But every other thing she has shared with you, you need to see how my face is smiling here as she's saying it. And even when I met her one-on-one, visited her home. So she's not saying something just to wow us. That is who she is. And I believe it was not coincidental that she took today's topic. And I want to also believe that she will come back and tell us more about finances, since she's a professional accountant, because that's another area in marriage, in family, that is a very critical part that we need wisdom to be able to navigate properly in our lives and in our families. Thank you so much, Ma, for all that. I'll definitely put all your details of email and social media handles on the show notes where our listeners can always click on them to connect with you personally. So in closing, what will be 3 practical tips you can share that will help singles to wait for sex after marriage? Knowing fully well that now people feel, oh, I cannot wait, oh, Mrs. Ozigi, how am I sure that this person is fertile? How am I sure that this person would satisfy me? How am I sure that this person will perform? So many things in the heads of, people that are not yet married, and it's like they are running ahead of time. And Mr. Ozigi said, when you go into something that is not yet time, it's like you stole something and it tends to backfire. So what will you tell our young people? 3 practical tips that can help them, that will make today's Valentine's Day not a sour aftermath experience. So what would those 3 practical tips be?
Please, can I just make a statement? Because you said that sometimes people say that, how do I check compatibility?
Yes.
I will just say that sexual compatibility is not discovered, it is developed. Let me just leave that statement out there. We can expatiate it at another time. But sexual compatibility is not discovered. I want to discover sexual compatibility. So let me test. There's nothing like that. You develop it by staying with one partner, embracing them, listening to them, communicating like you said. Do you understand?
Yes.
And also sharing with them, listening and hearing them, and you sharing also yourself with them. That's how you develop sexual compatibility. It cannot be discovered. So anybody that is trying to discover it, that's a zero. The 3 things I would say that would help you as a single is, number 1, be clear that sex outside marriage is wrong. It is a distraction that can take the beauty of your tomorrow with you. Just be clear about that. That sexual activity outside marriage is a distraction that can take the beauty of your tomorrow away from you as an individual. And I'm speaking to both male and female. That's the first thing. The second thing is, determine to find yourself. To be successful, have a goal for your future. Then you won't engage in sexual activity before marriage. Because if you are focused on where you are going, and you already have in your mind that sexual activity before marriage is a distraction, then you will focus on it and aim for that goal, knowing that as you have this goal, at the end of it, what you require as regards to sex, by achieving that goal, you will attract it. Everybody, all the people that are doing sex before marriage or giving themselves, is because they think that they fall in love with the idea of somebody. Both male or female, they want to marry a kind of woman, fall in love with a kind of man. Why don't you be the kind of woman, be the kind of man that somebody wants to fall in love with, the kind of woman that somebody wants to embrace and also keep and have as a spouse? That's what should be your goal. Create yourself to be that. Not sex in it, but create yourself to be that. Then the sex that you are looking for, then you will get it. The last thing I will say is that make friendship in groups. In the end, it's character, a relationship with God and character that sustains relationship, not sex. When you make friends in group, you are able to observe people, check their character and behavior. Then you can make a choice as to who you really want to be in a relationship that will end up in marriage and sex with. Because after sex is character, is maintaining a relationship, is going in the direction of growth, of purpose and success. So if you make friends in groups and you belong to a youth group, for instance, you go out as a group to a picnic, You carry out, like, visit an orphanage as a group. You achieve teamwork on maybe even going out, not just picnic, like maybe going on a climbing expenditure or expedition, or even sharing time together, visiting parks, or just achieving a project, running different things as a group. You get to know individuals within that group, and you get to identify characters you would like to have in your life and in the person that you would like to share your life with. In that way, you can choose somebody that has character to become somebody you can marry, that you can then have sex with. Or the reality is that if you do not go through these processes, you can just choose anybody, and that's the same as just going anywhere, meet a prostitute, because it's just about a single physical contact that has far-reaching ramifications that you have refused to view and review and throw caution to the wind. So first, I'll say it again. Number one, realize that sex outside marriage, in whatever form, is wrong and a distraction to the beauty of your great tomorrow. That's number one. Number two, have a goal to be the person that people will be attracted to. To be the person that you would like to fall in love with. Have a goal to be that person, being successful and fulfilling purpose, and you will attract the right person to have sex with within the confines of marriage. Number three, make friends with a lot of people, not single, but in groups. Be giving you an opportunity, belong to a drama group, a choir, a non-governmental group that goes out maybe to help displaced people, visit the orphanage, be part of a youth group, a young adult, disperse your energy, be part of a sports group. In those places, you will create friendships, just platonic friendships that helps you to identify people's character. Then you will be able to choose who exactly you want to have such an intimate relationship as sex with within the confines of marriage, because you have identified their character. I believe that is the way to go, and you won't have any problem by God's grace.
Amen. Thank you so much, Ma. I'm really smiling because Mrs. Ozigi's 3 practical tips to help singles wait for sex after marriage is like she was mirroring my life. Honestly, I was just smiling when she talked about make up your mind first that, sex before marriage is a no-no. Don't allow it. And that was a decision I also made. I said, no, this is not it. Even when I was in university and people wanted to have a read, I said, no, I came here to read. But I was so rigid. And, it was when I finished university and was coming out that I now started, okay, maybe I can start thinking about relations. It was as serious as that. And she now said, have a goal for your future. Be a person of value, and you attract that person. She said, why don't you be the person that somebody will want to have as a partner, as a spouse, in that relationship, and make friendships in groups. This last one, it really made me smile because, to be very honest, I knew my husband in a group, but I didn't know that he would be my husband. That's how I can say. we were part of the NCCF here back in Nigeria, where we do the youth service. So we had a fellowship, and in that group, my husband was an official. He was a Bible study coordinator. I was assistant general secretary. And we knew ourselves platonically because we were all together, as in there were other people, friends and everything. To cut the long story short, when we got to the point of, after everything, we left service and everything, when it got to the point of us now knowing ourselves closely after service and everybody had parted way, and he brought, the desire of having that marriage relationship, it wasn't something I had as a difficult choice to make, in the sense that I had known him on that plane that it wasn't my goal when I knew him. So there was this friendship that we're all friends together, but it now came to the point of, discovering. So what she said is true. Make friends with people in groups, don't just single out one person and just focus like that. When you make friendship in groups, you have an overview of different people, different characters, and then gradually you definitely attract yourself to whoever you have decided to, build a future with. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you, Ma. And like I said, we'll be looking forward to having you on At Home with Ifeno to talk about finance and to also talk about the married people, because today you were really talking with the singles. And I want to say again to our singles, have a beautiful Valentine's Day as you selflessly go and share love with others, as you selflessly, work in groups to see how you can be a better person and touch lives in groups, and wait until after marriage for you to enjoy sex. Thank you, Ma, and God bless you.
Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful. All the best.
Thank you, Ma. Thanks for joining us this week on the At Home with Ifeno podcast. Check us out on Instagram at Ifeno17 and on YouTube at Home with Ifeno podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch every new episode and leave us a comment so we can build a strong community. See you in 2 weeks' time.